Okay, I want you to picture something. We're going back to the Egypt of the early 1800s. And listen, this isn't the Egypt you see on Instagram today, all right? Forget the tour buses. This was a land that was just baked by the sun, a place where the secrets of the pharaohs were literally buried under thousands of years of sand. You've got these incredible, colossal ruins just poking out of the desert. It was like a giant treasure chest, just waiting for someone to find the key. Well, the guy who showed up wasn't there to find the key. He was there to kick the door down. And he wasn't some stuffy scholar or a fancy aristocrat. He was, quite literally, a giant. So let's meet our guy, Giovanni Belzoni, a 6'6" Italian who was a former Circus Strongman. He'd actually studied to be a monk back in Rome, can you believe it? But his whole life got turned upside down when Napoleon invaded Italy. As Belzoni himself put it, this whole event altered the course of my education. And just like that, he became a wanderer. This guy was a total force of nature, driven by this relentless ambition and powered by just pure, raw, physical strength. And he was about to unleash all of that on the ancient wonders of Egypt. All right, let's dive right into his first legendary quest. And it wasn't for some golden idol or anything like that. Nope, it was for something much, much heavier. You see, the British consul really wanted this massive granite bust, known as the Younger Memnon, for the British Museum back in London. The problem, it was just lying there, half buried in the sand at Thebes, and for years, pretty much everyone agreed it was absolutely impossible to move. A perfect challenge for a man like Belzoni, right? And the sheer scale of the problem here was just staggering. We're talking 7 tons. 7. To put that in perspective, that's about the weight of a full-grown elephant. An elephant made of solid granite. And Belzoni's job was to move it for miles across the desert, with no cranes, no engines, no modern tech whatsoever. His only tools? Some timber, some rope, a whole lot of human muscle, and, of course, an absolutely unbreakable will. So how on earth did he do it? Well, it was a masterpiece of crude but totally brilliant engineering. Belzoni designed this makeshift carriage out of wooden poles and rollers. He went out and hired dozens of local Arabs, somehow persuading them to take on a job they were convinced was impossible. And the work was just brutal. He wrote about how the road got so sandy that the giant head would just sink into the ground, forcing them to constantly find new paths. I mean, every single foot they gained was a battle against physics and the landscape itself. But you know what? It wasn't just the sand he was fighting. Belzoni was in a race against time and other people. His rivals, agents working for a French collector named Bernardino Drovetti, or, as Belzoni called him, Mr. D, they were actively trying to stop him. They were bribing his workers, intimidating his suppliers, scheming with local officials to sabotage the entire operation. It was this murky, competitive world of colonial treasure hunting, where every discovery was a prize to be fought over. But here's the crazy part. Despite the sinking sand, the blistering heat, and the constant sabotage from his rivals, Belzoni dragged that 7-ton head all the way to the banks of the Nile River in just 18 days. 18 days of relentless, back-breaking labor to do what everyone had said was impossible for decades. That head was on its way to London, and Belzoni's reputation was officially forged in the desert. So, with one impossible feat already under his belt, what do you think Belzoni did? He immediately started looking for another one. He set his sights on the second Great Pyramid at Giza, the Pyramid of Khafre, a monument that had stood silent and sealed, its secrets locked away from the entire modern world, and Belzoni decided, yeah, I'm going to be the one to get inside. Just let that sink in for a second. For 3,000 years, this colossal structure had resisted every single attempt to enter it. It was a perfect, impenetrable fortress of stone, its mysteries guarded by time itself. It was the ultimate locked room mystery, and Belzoni was absolutely determined to find the key. Now, the general thinking at the time, from all the scholars to Belzoni's rivals, was that there was nothing to find. They were convinced that, unlike the Great Pyramid, Khafre's was just a solid mass of rock. So any attempt to break in was seen as a complete waste of time and money. It was a fool's errand. They all told him to just give up. And as you can probably guess by now, telling Belzoni something was impossible was pretty much the surest way to make him do it. He didn't see their skepticism as a warning. Oh no, he saw it as a challenge. He was absolutely convinced there was an entrance, a hidden passage that everyone else had missed, and finding it became his brand new obsession. And right here, in his own words, you really see the core of the man. After a pretty frustrating setback in his initial search, he wasn't discouraged at all. He was energized. He wrote that the disappointment only made him rather more obstinate. You see, this was no longer just a job for him. It was a personal battle between Giovanni Belzoni and the pyramid itself. His approach was so methodical, yet absolutely grueling. For weeks, he and his men just toiled under that brutal Egyptian sun. They studied every single massive stone block on the north face, just looking for any clue, anything out of place. After 15 days, he spotted it, this tiny, almost imperceptible irregularity in the stonework. For another 2 weeks, they just dug, clearing tons and tons of rubble by hand, until finally, after a solid month of relentless effort, they broke through. On that day, Giovanni Belzoni became the first person in modern history to enter the Pyramid of Khafre. He crawled down that dark, suffocating passage and found his way into the main burial chamber, a vast, silent room that hadn't seen a human being in centuries. He had done it. He had proven every single one of them wrong. But this is where the story gets, well, it gets complicated. Belzoni's incredible achievements, they opened up the world of ancient Egypt like never before. But the methods he used and the very nature of his work, it forces us to ask a really difficult question about his legacy. I mean, his list of discoveries is just mind-blowing. He's the one who unearthed the magnificent tomb of Seti I, which is still one of the most spectacular finds ever in the Valley of the Kings. He correctly identified the lost Roman port city of Berenice, but, and this is a huge but, his methods were, to put it mildly, rough. In his own journal, he just casually mentions that his dinner was often cooked in an oven, heated with pieces of mummy cases, and sometimes with the bones and rags of the mummies themselves. This wasn't science, this was a smash-and-grab operation on a national scale. And this, right here, is the Belzoni paradox. Was he a pioneer who unlocked the secrets of a lost civilization for the entire world to see? Absolutely, yes. But was he also a treasure hunter, a colonial agent who used brute force, literally gunpowder sometimes, to blast his way into tombs, damaging monuments, and shipping Egypt's national treasures off to Europe? The answer, unfortunately, is also yes. He was operating in this gray area, in an era before archaeology even had rules. So what does that make him? What is his real legacy? He was a man of his time, no doubt about it, a time of imperial ambition and this romantic but often destructive obsession with the ancient world. He gave us access to a world we had only dreamed of, but it came at a tremendous cost. With Belzoni, the line between discovery and destruction, between archaeologist and tomb raider, well, it's as shifting and uncertain as the very desert sands he conquered.